Afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am your host, Armando Venditti, and this is part two of a series I called Album versus Album. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about another artist that released an album in 1977 and subsequently released their sequel to the album in 1993. Quite a long gap between albums. The artist is Loaf. The album is Bad Hell, released October of 77 through Cleveland International Records, a subsidiary of Epic. Now, the album is credited to Loaf, but on the bottom of the album cover, it says songs by Jim Steinman. Now, this album is described as theater rock, as just straight ahead rock. It's described as teenage angst rock, whatever you want to call it. It's very difficult to describe it, to pigeonhole it into one category. There is this definite theatrical element in these songs. Number one, the songs are long. Okay, these songs are long, all right? There are 7 songs, excuse me, and that takes up over 40 minutes of the album, okay? There are no demos for Bad Out of Hell. You cannot look up any demo recordings for the album, for any of the tracks on the album. This album dates back to I would say as far back as 74. Loaf, born Marvin Lee Aday, changed his name to legally to Loaf. Met Jim Steinman as he was working in musical theater. They struck up a friendship, and Jim Steinman quickly realized that Loaf had the presence and the voice and the charisma to be able to deliver his songs in a very dramatic way that people would never forget. They started working on the idea of writing songs for an album. They had no idea how to get this accomplished. They started getting appointments with record company people to perform their songs in their offices, only to be basically thrown out. Now, there is one story where Loaf had an appointment with Clive Davis, who was the head of Columbia. And if you can picture it, Loaf, Jim Steinman, Ellen Foley, who was Loaf's girlfriend at the time, walked into Clive Davis's office along with other executives from other companies and would start to perform these songs with Jim Steinman on the piano. Now, if you know the song Paradise by the Dashboard Light, when the baseball play-by-play segment comes on, Ellen Foley and Loaf start necking and making out quite heavily in front of these execs. At that point, that was when they would be kicked out of the offices. So they just continued to push and try to get these songs listened to. Todd Rundgren subsequently heard about it and listened to the songs and said that he could produce this album in his own studio in Woodstock, New York, for very cheap. They subsequently started recording the album. It was done, mixed, ready to go, passed around to every possible record company known to mankind. Loaf's manager has gone on record as saying he thinks that they actually created new record companies to just reject this album. And finally, a guy by the name of Steve Popovich listened to the album. Actually, he listened to the spoken intro on one of the tracks, which we'll get into, and signed them on that spoken intro. Done deal. The album comes out and it really doesn't do anything. And it wasn't until about a year later that 6 months to 9 months to about a year later, sorry, that the album really took off. There's even a quick story of them opening for ELO, and ELO quickly kicked them off the bill because they were getting more attention than the opening act, ELO. So that didn't last very long. I have known of this album since I was 8 years old. I have listened to it regularly. There are times when I get a fix for it and I need to listen to it. The songs are very grandiose, very dramatic, theatrical. The shortest song is 4 minutes and change. The longest song is 9 minutes, 45 seconds. The demo versions played live were like the original version, for example, of Paradise by the Dashboard Light was 27 minutes. The original version for Banner to Hell, Tower Track, 45 minutes. So this album has a very special place in my heart. And I'll go through the titles of the tracks in order. Side one, Battery Hell. I took the words right out of my mouth. Hot Summer Night. Heaven Can Wait. All revved up and no place to go. Side one. Side two, 283 Ain't Bad. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. And For Crying Out Loud. Those 7 songs made up this monumental album. Whether you like it or not, it's sold. It has sold to date 43 million copies worldwide. Massive, huge. And one of those albums that are still in my playlist from time to time. I'll pull it out and not a problem. I will listen to it from first song on side 1 to the last song on side 2, or in CD age, track 1 to track 7. It is what it is. It's a monster hit. Why did it take Meatloaf so long to come up with a sequel? Well, problems with his voice, litigation with Jim Steinman, problems with choosing musicians to record the album. Jim Steinman wanted to use the same backing musicians from Battery Hall, which included Roy Bittan and Max Weinberg from the E Street Band. And I believe Meatloaf wanted to use their touring musicians. So, there were a myriad of reasons why. The follow-up, Battery Hell 2, released September 14th, 1993. Produced by Jim Steinman, not Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren in this, I believe he did mix the album, but he is relegated to backing vocals. The album was released in North America through MCA, in Europe, UK, through Virgin. Massive comeback. And up to this point, Meatloaf had released albums through for other record companies, Arista, Atlantic. Um, they didn't hit. And when at the time Meatloaf was signed to Arista in UK, and he wanted to release Bad at Hell 2 because they were coming up with ideas, and Arista said no. So he left Arista, signed with Virgin. The album is released. I don't know if I mentioned the date, but it was September 14th, 1993. It was a massive hit. You know, the lead up single, I'll Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. Rock and Roll Dreams come through. Objects in the Rearview Mirror. I can't, the song titles are so long that I can't even remember the entire song titles. The lead off track, I'll Do Anything for Love, was a massive 12 minutes even. Objects was 10 minutes. The album itself clocks in at 75 minutes even. Again, massive hit. Like, from going to having to rebuild your career playing in clubs to having an album that sells in excess of 15 million copies is mind-boggling. It was hard work, but it paid off. Now, the objective of these episodes, is to discuss, are the originals better than the sequels, or are the sequels better than the originals? In this case, for me, the original outweighs the sequel by miles. Again, the original it's a classic. It's, again, the music on it is very dramatic, very theatrical, over the top, whatever phrases or adjectives you want to use to describe it. It's huge. It's huge. Each track on that album, on the original Bad Night in Hell, for me, is a mini play. And the central theme is about angst, whether it's in your teens, whether it's in your 20s, whether it's in your 30s. That is the central theme. And when you're doing an album and you have that kind of material and you are in your, say, mid to late 20s, that fits. It works. It works. Now, compared to Bad Night in Hell 2, Back into Hell, the songs are good. I'll Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That is a massive hit. The title of the song repeated however many times, ad nauseum, whatever you want to call it, it's a massive hit. It is. Do the songs, that support the album after that fare as well? No, they don't. I'm sorry. I've listened to it recently, and I still love the track I'll Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. Life is a Lemon, Rock and Roll Dreams Come Through, Wasted Youth, Objects in the Rearview Mirror, Lost Boys and Golden Girls, or even if that's the full name of the title because it's so long. Lost Boys. Let's just call it Lost Boys. I do like the instrumental Back into Hell, but it's just this the melody of Good Girls Go to Heaven, Bad Girls Go Everywhere. It's the same, it's the melody line from that song. Good girls go to heaven, bad girls go everywhere, throughout the track. So there's no variation, there's no variety, there's no difference, no peaks and valleys in terms of the melody on it. So the album, again, it's a good album. Does it outdo the original? Not even, not on your best day, in my very humble opinion. Um, it's not, again, that's not to say I don't like it, but I literally listened to um, part two, um, Back into Hell, a year ago. Uh, I can call up Bad and Hell Part One and just I'm put back to 1978 when I literally first heard 283 and Bad at summer camp. I was 8 years old, and I remember that it came out in the summer before the album was released. So go figure. It's just the way it is. Um, Again, is Back into Hell a bad album? No, it's to me, it's not musically um, consistent, and the songs are not as memorable as the original album. So, but again, I mean, everyone has their opinion. That is mine. Um, and that brings me to the end of this episode. Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of Bad Out of Hell or Bad Out of Hell 2, Back into Hell. Let me know what you think of them, whether you like the original, whether you like the sequel, or whether you're indifferent, what have you. Again, everyone has their opinion, and there are no right or wrong answers. That's just my opinion overall. It's my answer. So, again, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep you on top of any new content that I've got coming out. And that's it for this episode. I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. And I will talk to you soon. Please, again, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk very soon. Bye for now.